Hi class, welcome back. So today we're going to be basically going over a micro review. A couple of the main things we're going to go over today is elasticity and price control. So two things that have been covered in class as well as previous quizzes. So we're going to go over that today. So the first thing we're going to start off with is elasticity of demand. So this is something that you will be tested on. It's very common in microeconomics. So we're going to look at elasticity of demand. Basically, this is the responsiveness to price change. So how do you respond based on, or how much more do you demand or less you demand based on a price change? So think of a good that you really like or something you consume on the regular. If you see an increase in price, how will that change your consumption? How will that change your behavior in terms of consuming this product? So we have three elasticities of demand that we've covered and we've talked about previously. We have elasticity of demand, we have income elasticity of demand, and we have cross-price elasticity of demand. These are the three that you'll be tested on. We're just going to talk about each one specifically. So elasticity of demand, this is looking at your percent change in quantity demanded divided by your percent change in price. So, for example, in a word problem, sometimes I'll give you the percent change in quantity demanded in terms of actual percentage and also the percent change in price. So you should be able to calculate what our elasticity of demand is. Now, after you punch in the calculations, you get a number. It's going to be either greater than 1, less than 1, or equal to 1. So this is extremely important when we look at elasticity. This shows us if it's elastic, meaning you're highly responsive, inelastic, less responsive, or unit elastic, where it's proportional change. Now we'll talk about it in a bit. So, for example, if you're elastic, you are highly responsive to price change. This is saying the value is greater than 1. If you see an increase in price, you're going to demand less of this product. Now, the reason why you demand less of this product is because there could be other alternatives available, other substitutes for this product. This might not be the only product available. Now, if it's inelastic, this is saying that you aren't as responsive to price change. So if the price increases by 10%, yes, there's going to be some sort of a drop-off, but you will still consume this product. You're going to consume this product because there might not be as many alternatives available as before. Now, unit elastic, this is one that's kind of tricky. It's a proportional change. So meaning if there's a 10% increase in price, there's going to be a 10% decrease in quantity demanded. Again, 10 divided by 10, you're going to get 1. So again, it's a proportional change, meaning it's unit elastic. Now we're going to talk about income elasticity of demand. This is looking at how does your consumption behavior change in response to your income. So is your income increasing? Are you consuming more? Is your income decreasing? Are you consuming less? And why is that? So here we have, we're not so worried about if it's greater than 1, less than 1, or equal to 1. We're more worried about the signage. So if it's a positive value, that means it is a normal good. A normal good meaning the more income you have, the more you consume of this product. Now, if it's negative, that means it's an inferior good. So the less income you have, the more you consume of this product. So again, those are two important ones to know for income elasticity of demand. Again, it's only based on income, not price change. Now the last one, CP stands for cross price. Cross price elasticity of demand is the percent change in quantity demanded of good 1, so G1, it denotes good 1, divided by your percent change in the price of good 2. So now we're comparing two different prices, or two different goods. So we have the price and the quantity of 1. Now, again, we're worried about the signage, not so much about if it's greater than 1, less than 1, or equal to 1. If it's positive, it's a substitute, meaning there's two products, you can either consume them interchangeably. So if one becomes more expensive, you can go and consume the other. A complement would mean that it's a negative value, but also you need this product along with another product, or this other product, so good 1 and 2, together in order to achieve some form of utility. So again, these are the three elasticity of demands that we're going to talk about. We'll do some calculations on each one as well. All right, so before we continue, there's one more method that you need to know. It's the midpoint method. So a lot of students are worried about this formula. So for this, just think of it as the difference in your quantity divided by the average of your quantity. Again, Q2 plus Q1 divided by 2, that's just the average of your quantities. Now that's going to be divided by the difference between your prices, so the two different prices, divided by the average of your price. So again, Q2 minus Q1 divided by the average, then divided by difference between your prices, divided by your average. So P2 plus P1 divided by 2. So we'll do a practice example next. All right, so here we have our first example. We're going to say we have a small town. They have a cable television subscription available. Now there's two price points. The first one is at $30 per month, we have 30,000 subscribers for this cable TV subscription. Now we're going to say that the price has increased to $40 per month, and now we have 40,000 subscribers. So here, the first thing I always do, so before we get to that, we need to know what formula we're going to use. So we're going to look at the elasticity of demand. Again, we see a change in price, and we also say change in quantity. Now you might say, okay, we can't use the elasticity of demand, the original formula, but what we can use is the midpoint method. So the first step I always do is label each point that I have. So you have your Q1, Q2, P1, P2. Then we're going to plug it all into the midpoint method. All right, so now what we did, we plug in all of our numbers. We have our Q2, Q1, plug it up top, our P2, P1, plug it down bottom. And after you do all the math, you should get a value of 1. Now, another big thing is anytime you calculate elasticity of demand, only elasticity of demand, you're always going to get the absolute value. So here it doesn't really matter. It's going to be 1 regardless, but make sure for elasticity of demand, you take the absolute value. So now this value of 1, meaning that it's unit elastic. So for, let's just say, a 10% increase in price, the quantity is going to increase in price as well. So again, based on our numbers, what we get, it's going to be unit elastic. Now, another question I can ask for this as well is, how is your total revenue changing? Again, this is related to elasticity. So for total revenue equals price times quantity. Now, we can calculate price or our total revenue for each time the price changes. So it'd be 30 times 30,000 and then 40 times 40,000. So from this, you should be able to conclude that when the price is $40 per month and we have 40,000 subscribers, our total revenue is the highest. So this would be optimal if you're just looking in terms of revenue. All right, so here we have an example. We're going to go over income elasticity of demand. So here our income increases. Our first income is 50,000. Now let's just say we have an increase. Now we make 55,000. And there's also a change in quantity demanded. So originally our quantity demanded was 10, now our quantity demanded is 20. So with this increase, we see an increase in consumption. Now, again, I give you two incomes and 2 quantities, so you can also use a midpoint method for this as well. Again, you're just plugging in what is given to you. Now it's going to be changing quantity demanded up top and changing income down below. It's still applicable. So after you plug in all the numbers, you should get a value of 7.021. Now, if I got this incorrect and you drop a comment and you provide the correct answer, or you correct me somewhere, then you will get extra credit. But based on my math, this is correct. Now, because it's a positive value, this means it is a normal good. Now, if it's a normal good, meaning we see an increase in income, we see an increase in quantity demanded of this product. Now, this is important in terms of expansionary phases in our economy. And you can tell if people are making more money, what else should I produce in terms of a producer or just looking at the economy as a whole. Now we're going to go over a practice problem for comparing 2 goods. So now we're using cross-price elasticity of demand. Here we have the price of good 1, we have the price of good 1 after the change, and then we have the quantity of good 2, and then the quantity of good 2 after the price change. Now, we're going to plug in these numbers basically. So the top, we can still use the midpoint method. Now at the top, it's going to be the difference between our 2 quantities. So we're just going to plug these numbers in. We have the quantity of good 1, and then we have the price of good 2 after the change. So we see that the price does change of good 2. Now we're going to plug those numbers in. It's going to be the difference between 12 and 3, which is 9. 9 divided by 7.5, you're going to get 1.2. And then down here, we're also going to get 1.2. And our end value, our cross-price elasticity of demand is 1. Now again, we do not take the absolute value of this number because the signage is important. Now because it's a positive number, it's a substitute. So these 2 products, there seem to be substitutes. So if we see an increase in the price of good 2, more people want to buy good 1. Basically, this is more expensive. Now we want to shift to having good 1. That's the whole intuition behind the elasticity measures. You should know this for the exam as well as throughout this class. This is very applicable to real life as well. All right, so the next part of this video, we're going to talk about price controls. So price controls is government intervention. This is basically the government coming in and saying the price is either set too high or it's set too low. So with this intervention, we're trying to help individuals. Again, the government's goal is not to punish individuals. The goal is to help. So there's two types of price controls. We have a price floor, and then we have a price ceiling. Now, a price ceiling, this is the legal maximum you can charge. So just think of max. Price floor is a legal minimum. So here we have our supply and demand graph. We're going to put in a binding price ceiling. So remember, when you think of binding, think of having an impact in the market. So a price ceiling that is binding in this case would be at $5. This is the legal maximum you can charge now. Now, this is legal maximum because at equilibrium, what the government is saying is this price is too high. It's not helping individuals. Now, they want to help more people, so they set a price ceiling. The price ceiling, meaning the maximum you can charge, is $5. Now, we do this to ensure that it helps people. So here we have our quantity supplied. Here we have our quantity demanded. Now you see demand is greater than our supply, so this creates a shortage. Now the way we fix a shortage, if we remove the price ceiling, prices will rise and will be at equilibrium. Equilibrium is the most efficient point. Now a price floor, this is a legal minimum. A legal minimum meaning that the market price or the equilibrium price is too low. The government wants to set a higher price so people can either gain more wages, better pay, so forth. So a binding price floor, again, binding price floor, meaning it has an impact, it has to be set above equilibrium. So now, at $15, we have a binding price floor. Now, this is our new quantity demanded, and this point right here is our new quantity supplied. So now if we block these out and we just focus on quantity supplied and quantity demanded, you see quantity supplied is greater than quantity demanded. Now what we have is a surplus. Basically a lot more people want this benefit and less people are willing to provide it. So we have a surplus. So those are the two impacts of our price controls. When the government does get involved, you have an inefficiency through shortages or surpluses. And the way you fix a surplus, if you remove the price floor, prices will go back down to equilibrium, which is the most efficient point. So again, binding, meaning it has an impact on the market. If we were to set a price floor at equilibrium, it's a pointless policy because people are already trading at equilibrium. If we were to set a price ceiling above equilibrium, this is the legal maximum, you're just going to fall right under into the equilibrium point. So that's going to be the end of this video. Basically everything that you need to know for this review, elasticities and price controls. The impact it has, how to calculate elasticities, the impact of price controls, the inefficiency caused, and you should be good for the exam. All right, if you guys have any questions, drop a comment, shoot me an email. I'm more than happy to help. Just let me know how this is going, how the semester is going for you, and I'll be back with more videos soon. Thank you.